Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I had so many people send me the next story. I couldn't begin to thank everyone, but I thank you all collectively because, I talk about civil asset forfeiture quite a bit on this channel. And it's the idea that if the police encounter you and you've got money on you or something of value, they just go, oh, we're going to take that from you. And if you want it back, you can sue us. And the rationale was that they're going to do these things because presumably most people don't walk around, say, carrying big quantities of cash. So you must be some kind of drug kingpin or drug lord to be carrying around cash like that. And the weird thing is that they'll often keep the cash and not even charge you the crime. So the weird news event that happened last week was that the Michigan State Police seized $40,000 from somebody driving on I-75 in southeastern Michigan. Guy's just driving along, and the Michigan State cops pull him over. And we know about this because they bragged about this on Twitter, not understanding the backlash they were going to get. Now, they don't care about the backlash. They're the Michigan State Police. But Ray Casonis wrote the story I'm going to read to you from the Monroe News. It was also republished in the DetroitFreePress.com, freep.com. And, of course, the Free Press is the paper I delivered as a child. Monroe Township, Michigan State Police seized $40,000 from a motorist on I-75. And now they're saying as part of a narcotics investigation. Troopers from 1st District Headquarters conducted a traffic stop in Monroe Township. Troopers reported the motorist was pulled over for following too closely. He was not pulled over for anything other than a minor traffic infraction. That is, he was allegedly following too closely to the car in front of him. Further investigation resulted in troopers locating $40,000 in cash in the car, which they then seized. Now, further investigation means they searched the car. We don't have enough facts about this to know whether they got permission or just demanded to search. If you're following too closely, obviously there's something going on in your car they need to search. A lieutenant who's a Michigan State Police public information officer said the traffic stop and seizure were related to a narcotics investigation, which is what they basically said after the fact to try to explain away what they did. But the weird part is that they posted a photograph of the money on their Twitter feed. And we all know this. There are people out there who should not be driving. There are people out there who should not be on the internet. There are also people out there who should not have Twitter feeds. Okay, the Michigan State Police should not have a Twitter feed if they're going to do stuff like this. They posted a photograph of the money and they said, here's money we seized from a motorist. No arrest. And people started piling on saying, you guys are bragging about robbing people now? Because that's what they're doing. They're stealing money from people. Property and or cash seized by law enforcement officers can be reclaimed if it is proven to be legitimate. In this case, the Monroe County Prosecutor's Office would make the determination if a claim is filed to retrieve the money. They'd make the determination if a claim is filed. So the investigation is continuing. And so right now, because of this public backlash, the Michigan State Police and the Prosecutor's Office are scrambling frantically to try to find some way to claim that they've got justification for robbing a motorist who's just passing through Monroe County on I-75 and was following a bit too closely the car in front of him. Now, if you were to drive around on a daily basis, and remember, you and I might drive places, but we're not driving all day long. But take a Michigan State Police trooper who's in a car for an 8-hour shift and sees all kinds of traffic violations, wrong illegal turns, people running red lights that they thought were yellow, rolling stop signs, following too closely, okay? They see this kind of nitpicky stuff all day long. But for whatever reason, okay, they pulled this car over. Now, maybe they pull over every single car that they see following too closely on a daily basis, but I doubt it. So there's probably some other reason that they wanted to pull this guy over. Maybe he looked sketchy. Maybe his car looked skeevy. Who knows? But they needed a reason to pull him over, and so he's following too closely. They pulled him over. Further investigation unveiled $40,000 in cash, which they then seized. And as of right now, they haven't explained any basis for the seizure, and they didn't bother arresting the guy. Now, we don't know if he got a ticket or not. They could have ticketed the guy, presumably for following too closely. But no arrests were made. They're very clear to say that. And like I said, they proudly posted this on their Twitter feed so everybody could mock them. They actually thought, and this is a great example of something that as people who study human nature, like you and I, this is the kind of thing that you actually want to step back and take a look at. It's fascinating. Anybody who's owned a cat or a dog knows that occasionally, especially cats, in fact, a friend of mine's got a cat, Dwayne, if you're watching, I'm talking about you, who told me that his cat would catch chipmunks in the yard and bring them into the house. Look at me, I caught a chipmunk, proudly with a dead chipmunk in its mouth. And humans, we look at that, we understand what the cat's doing. The cat is behaving like a cat. Cats are cats. Cats do what cats do. But the cat doesn't understand that we look at that and recoil and say, there's a dead animal in your mouth. Get it outside. And oh, the things that dogs will pick up with their mouths and carry around. Okay? And you try to explain to the dog how humans do this, and we don't carry things in our mouths that we wouldn't touch with our hands, but of course dogs don't have hands. They don't understand that. So the idea that the Michigan State Police steal the money from somebody and are so proud of what they've done that they're kind of like the cat with a chipmunk in its mouth or the dog with something it found in the park in its mouth, that they forget that the average citizen recoils when they see this story. $40,000. Okay, here's the deal. Everything's relative when it comes to numbers. That's what numbers do, okay? A $100 bill is a lot of money in some contexts. But $40,000 is also a lot of money in some contexts. But the idea that no law-abiding citizen could possibly have $40,000 on him for a legal reason is actually going too far. And I've had people say, and it's the most common question I get asked under any video I do on civil asset forfeiture. People say, Steve, you've done a dozen videos on this. You've studied it. You've looked at the law, the cases. You've read the statutes. You've read all these articles. What's the threshold? What amount of money can I carry on me safely? And the answer is, we don't know. We don't know. A police officer could pull you over and find a $100 bill on you and say, I think this $100 bill is the fruit of an illegal activity, and seize it. They could. Now you might say, Steve, why don't they? Well, how much work and effort is it worth to seize $100? Paperwork alone might not be worth it. But is there a threshold? No. Is there a limit? No. Is there some bright line that we as citizens can say, I'm at least safe carrying this much money? No. And quite frankly, that's one of the things that's startling about this story. $40,000. We've heard stories of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I did one not too long ago, a state out west, where the Supreme Court ordered someone to give back the $400,000 they'd seized from somebody. And there were allegations in that case that there was some connection to some kind of drug dealing. And the money also was specifically hidden in really weird places inside the car where the cops had to tear the car apart to find it. But $400,000, this is $40,000. You could go buy a car for $40,000 in cash. There are cars out there that cost $40,000. Imagine that. What amount of money would it be? I don't know. And you know, as an attorney, I like to have answers for people. I like it when people call me and they ask me a question and give them an answer to. Steve, is there a law on this? Yes, there is. Here it is. Steve, is there a law on this? Yes, there is. Right there. Is there a law on this? Actually, no, there's not. But the best guess is this or this. But I'm letting you know there's no law on it. What's the amount of money that you can safely carry without having it seized by the police when they encounter you? Don't know. Because $40,000 is enough for them to seize it and brag about it on Twitter. Like I said, some people shouldn't have Twitter accounts. Some people shouldn't be on the internet. Some people shouldn't drive. But the fact that they're bragging about it, like I said, you should see. In fact, I'll see if I can find the link if they haven't taken it down yet. and put it in the description below. So you can go and click on it and see where the Michigan State Police are bragging about how they deprived a motorist of $40,000 and what he had done to get on their radar. He was following the car in front of them too closely. Is there an allegation that that somehow caused him to fall into $40,000 of ill-gotten gains? No, of course not. Is there something else going on here? Well, they claim there's an investigation going on now, but the investigation appears to have been triggered by the $40,000 they found in this guy's car after pulling him over for following too closely. So I'm sorry. I'm an attorney, 28 years of practice in the state of Michigan. I remember hearing about it in law school and reading about it, and this is crazy. And yet, if you ask me that question, if you put it in the comments below and say, Steve, what is the safe amount to carry? I will have to tell you, I don't know. I don't know. No one knows, because they can seize any amount they want. They can also seize anything they want. They theoretically could have seized this guy's car and said, hey, your car is probably the fruit of an illegal activity the same way your money is. I mean, why not? Sue us to prove it's not. So that's a situation with the Michigan State Police, Monroe County, Michigan. I'm purposely saying Monroe because I think it's funnier to say it that way. I've been there before. It's almost Ohio. So you head south out of Detroit. So the Michigan State Police seized $40,000 from a motorist on I-75 and brag about it on Twitter. That's the state of where we are today. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Does anybody really know what time it is?